Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. Why is it when you come up against authority, no matter where it is, whether it's at the workplace, whether it's government, whether it's, whoever really, anyone who has authority, why is it when you ask them the difficult questions they go quiet? Why is it they don't want to answer those kinds of questions? I've noticed this in the workplace when they have the big CEOs or whatever, they have their big meetings and they ask you, do you want to put questions forward? And if you put the really simple, really easy questions, then they'll answer those because the problem is because they have selection, they have someone who can pick what questions to ask and what not. It doesn't get seen because everyone doesn't see that these questions are being ignored, so it's easy for them to be ignored. So they just answer the easy ones, the ones that make them look good. If there's a difficult question where it's questioning about, say, during COVID pandemic, people have been working at home, made their homes their offices, and yet you're making them redundant because you're offshoring work or whatever, and yet you're praising people for their work. How is that supporting them? And yeah, I know business is a business. Those types of questions they won't answer. They pretend you didn't put them to. Why do authorities do that? What is it they're so scared about telling the truth? Even if it's just to say that, wow, we're running a business and unfortunately we always have to make a profit, even during a pandemic. The ugliness of money. People know how ugly money is, but yet they still accept it. They still accept the idea of inequality. And then you've got with other organisations, when you ask them probing questions or you want to get a bit more detail, you're often, especially if you're doing it over email, say, they'll answer the easy questions back, but then when they don't want to answer something or they don't want it written down, they'll say, oh, phone me, give me a call and I'll explain it to you. And of course, it's because it's easier to say things face to face or on the phone to sort of confuse the person, because when you write something you have to be clear and succinct, and of course it's proof. It's interesting that, isn't it? Why? These are ordinary human beings, normal human beings brought up in this system, that when they, you see it with government ministers, when they're probed during their debates, or their question time, by members of the public or by the journalist or by each other, and they will always have deferred arguments, ways to get around it, ways to actually not answer questions, and that's allowed. It is, I don't know how that is allowed in our MPs who we vote to do our work, are allowed to not tell the truth or to not answer questions when asked them. And no one, because all of them do it, no one really says, wait a minute, just answer the question, stop playing Oxford deferment, stop playing word salad, just actually answer the question. Journalists sometimes will do it, depending if they're that brave. Of course, if you do that, then you might not get them back on the show again. So that's the problem. When you challenge someone, you the challenger, no matter how much right you have, no matter how much truth you have, you become the target, you become the victim. And then you get, when I was thinking about, change the system that we live in, I see these charity videos and whatever, and if you talk to, say, SF, and you ask them about, or whoever, the world we live in, and because I was seeing that their videos and asking, they ask for money so they can run, so they can help people and give food and all this to the poorer parts of the world, although the world isn't poor in any place or rich in any place. That's elusive because it's to do with money, which is a man-made system. So intrinsically there is no rich or poor. We're all equal and the same. It's just we're made unequal by the system that we choose all to live in. But what I'm trying to say is, if you talk to them, or any of these charities, or any of these people, philanthropic people, if it's truly philanthropic, not those ones who do it just for image or money, then they will often say, well, this is the world we live in. How can we do anything other than work through money? We can't do things for free. We can't employ people for free to take these things to get planes and all that kind of stuff. But when you think about it, the need to help each other out, the need to humane things. Remember, we're called humans. The word humane comes from the word human, as if we're that special, that we are humane, and yet we're far from that. But we're allowed to get away with it because we can just blame it on the system. We can blame it on, well, that's the way it is. What can we do? How can we change it? I'm just a little person. I'm just one person. I'm just one organisation. How can I change 7 billion people around the world who are all brought up in the same system? Well, of course, that's the key there, isn't it? I'll come back to that if I remember. But what I'm trying to say is that they will just say, well, there's nothing I can do, so I'm not going to do anything about it. But that's the wrong answer. Because then you're just doing band-aids. Then you're not really helping people. You're not helping as much as you could do. If we didn't have this idea of this concept of money, which is as alien or as true as any other concept, and we've had different concepts. We had bartering previous in human civilization. I'm sure lots of other ways of doing things. And of course, a lot of it's to do with labour, that people wouldn't make, well, they believe people wouldn't do anything if they weren't given money. But I believe if people had houses for free and then healthcare and had everything, enough people, and of course if the system was changed to push people in the right way, in a nice way, and support them truthfully, and everyone be educated in the same way, not have schools where it's private and so that it causes that inequality, then I think that we would live in a world where enough people would do the work, if not everyone, because they got everything that they need, and they would be brought up believing in love, in humanity, in helping each other. I don't believe that's a pipe dream or utopia. I believe that's achievable if we really want it. But what I'm trying to say, I know I keep going off into different points. I've forgotten what it was now. To do with accepting the way it is. It doesn't have to be that way. If it's like if you can look at examples of this, the idea of changing the system that we live in, or changing or getting rid of money, so we can do things for each other without that burden. And that's the burden that stops us being able to give medicines to everyone else, and competition as well. That's the other one. Having different organisations, but that's born to do with gaining money. If you didn't have that, there would be no need for competition. There would be no need to produce millions of different washing up detergents just because they want your business, they want your money. You wouldn't need that. There would be and you wouldn't need as many people then if you didn't make these copies of things that are unnecessary. Some things, yeah, they give choice. I understand that, colours and different makes and different looks. But some things are just made just to get money, just to get your business, and they're actually duplicates. Some companies manufacture, I'm sure like D&G or Procter & Gamble, they will manufacture the cheap brands for other companies, and they manage their own brand as well. So you're actually buying it from them. They're actually producing the same thing. Maybe they just take a little bit out. Maybe it's exactly the same. It's the same with t-shirts and putting on a Nike sticker on them and one without. And the idea of an illusion that somehow putting a tick on something is more worthy when it's exactly the same material as a t-shirt without it, coming from the same material. Anyway, that's the kind of craziness that humanity's got to. But we shouldn't accept it. Those people with power, those people of these organisations should be doing something about this. They shouldn't just accept things, because if you look at history, you see that this has happened before in different places when it comes to, say, racism, when it comes to sexuality. If you just cast your mind 100 years ago, where people of a different colour skin were slaves, and they had to work for people for no money, just to live in their house, just to live their one existence. Imagine that, your one existence. If you're a rich person, if you're someone who's affluent, if you're someone in the West, it's probably very difficult to imagine it, but imagine your one existence of life. You are a slave to someone else. You're living inside their house. You don't get any money. Your money is just living in that house, getting some food, and you have to do all those chores. No fun for you. But that changed, and it took a long time, and a lot of people were against it, which is amazing to think these are human beings that were voted for, that were against the abolition of slavery. And I'm sure there's people even today that will still think that that was an okay thing. That was humanity, that was us, but we changed. Yes, I know there's still a long way to go to racism, but at least that changed. Although we are still slaves, all of us, slaves of money, slaves of work, because our one existence is to make money, and that takes up a lot of our time. and energy, where we could be doing, I think, far better things. And I think if you were religious, you would agree to that as well, because I don't believe that's what God put us down here to spend most of our time making money, when it says quite clearly in the Bible about money being the root of all evil. You look at other things to do with sexuality, how people were treated because of their sexuality in the past and how that's changed. Yeah, these things are work in progress, but there's lots of examples of where women being able to vote, equal rights, equal pay, all these things, they changed because people wanted them to change. And usually it's just one or a few individuals that keep it going, keep that candle lit. Look at South Africa with Nelson Mandela, the ANC. Yeah, some of that included terrorism or violence, depending on which way you want to put it, or freedom fighting. But it changed. Now they're free. Now they all can live. Although that's part of the system of division, of thinking that you own a country and fighting over bits of land that you're never really going to own because we all die. But the main crux of this problem is the system. That's where this can be fixed. It won't be fixed by the generations that are living here. It'll be fixed by the generations to come when the system is changed. Because at the moment, why are we all loving money? Why do we all live with money? Because those people of the past made it and they're keeping it alive, and because we're teaching it to all our children, all the countries, and this is the thing that's so strange, on this place that we live are all the same. They all have banks, they all have schools, they all have education, they all have police, they all have these different infrastructures, media, all these things that are exactly the same, carbon copies of each other. There's no difference other than tribes. There's little tiny variations, but the majority of the system is exactly the same. It's corrupt, it's never going to work for everyone. So if we change that for everyone, we change it. And that's where we need to eradicate money. We need to eradicate division, distraction, and make us realise that we're all human beings, that we should be working together. Let's not take it for us to find another planet when we destroy this one to work that out. That is the eternal truth, that we are actually one. There is no division by colour. There is no division by all these other things. They're man-made concepts and illusions. That's what you've got to understand, what you've got to realise, that everything we live within, the system, it's like a game of Monopoly. The rules that we've made up, they have no more validity than the game of Monopoly. They're just how we decided that we're going to live over generation. But if it's not working for everyone, then there's a problem. And if you can live with that, then there's even more of a problem. Take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.